afternoon. Welcome to News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. We are also live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Like and share. My name is Micheline Taka. You're most welcome. The Africa Bar Association has conferred a Medal of Merit in Leadership Award on President Akufo-Addo at its 2023 annual conference in Pretoria, South Africa. In a citation, the president of the association, Hannibal Egbe Uriafo, described President Akufo-Addo as a pan-Africanist, anti-corruption crusader, a rare democratic leader in the field of good governance, a true African statesman whose legacies present African leaders must emulate, and we are minded to say it will stand the test of time.
It is 52 years now when President Akufo-Addo was called to the English Bar Middle Temple in July 1971, but it was until 4 years later that he started plying his trade in Ghana and Paris, France. He co-founded his own law firm, Prempeh & Co. in 1979. And to the leadership of the African Bar Association, there was no better time to celebrate one of their own than this time, hence the conferment of Medal of Leadership Award on President Akufo-Addo.
You are a great man indeed, in all respects. You are a proud ambassador of the legal profession. And we are remembering you for the struggles we saw you and your colleagues. Some of them have gone to join their creators. But they are alive by the special grace of God, and we're proud of your achievements in the Republic of Ghana.
Thanking the African Bar Association for the award, the president stated that the legal profession has a rarefied position in African societies and lawyers are assured of a special status.
In all our countries, it must be a source of pride for us that lawyers were in the forefront of the fight for liberation from colonialism and imperialism. Indeed, since independence, lawyers have moved seamlessly between politics and the legal profession. Whereas we can say that we have a lot to be proud of in the role played by lawyers in trying to promote democracy in our countries, it is also true that we have not always done ourselves proud. But that is a matter for another day.
The African Continental Free Trade Area was high on the agenda of the Pretoria Conference of President Akufo-Addo, under whose watch Ghana had the privilege to host the continental body said intra-African trade hold the key to developing Africa's vast economic and material resources.
The emergence of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, in which trading began in January and more specifically in October 2022, and in whose secretariat is Ghana's privileged to host, represents a historic opportunity for Africa to strengthen immeasurably intra-African trade as a powerful avenue for developing Africa's vast economic and material potential. As the adage goes, there is strength in unity, and for all 54 member states of the African Union, our strength lies with our numbers.
The African Bar Association Conference is an opportunity for judges, lawyers, politicians, the business community and experts from all fields to gather, discuss and think solutions to the myriads of challenges confronting Africa, especially transparent, good governance, security and the rule of law. But the Pretoria Conference is being held at a time that the rule of law, which is the fulcrum of democracy where lawyers' role is indispensable, is being undermined in some part of West Africa, such as Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea and Niger. Edward Nyakum, reporting for GBC News.
The Ghana Education Trust Fund, GETS Fund, has awarded new scholarships to 4,279 students from various universities and colleges in the country. This time, more scholarships were awarded to applicants studying in local universities and colleges. This is a major shift from previous years when GETS Fund scholarships were awarded mostly in favor of Ghanaian students studying abroad. The number of successful applicants for 2023 is 63% higher than the 2,704 recipients last year. The GETS Fund has so far paid 25.3 million Ghana cedis of the annual fees on behalf of the awardees enrolled in undergraduate, graduate and postgraduate programs of various universities. Those pursuing diploma or degree programs are 2,951, with 1,328 beneficiaries in Masters and Doctor of Philosophy PhD programs in both private and public universities and colleges all in the country. GetFund says 1,963 students, representing 46% of awardees, were studying science, technology, engineering and mathematics STEM-related programs, while 2,316, representing 54%, were pursuing the humanities. GetFund had migrated its scholarship application process online to replace the physical processes. The Secretariat says the full online system introduced to replace the manual one is part of its plan towards the digitalization agenda of the government. The GetFund received 22,000 applicants when it advertised in December last year, inviting prospective applicants to apply the local scholarships via its online portal. It says the overwhelming show of interest in the scholarships prompted the Board of Trustees of the fund to increase the available slots, leading to the higher number of recipients. Well, GetFund agreed to speak with us at 2 but pulled out last minute. A professor of management and a counselor at the Saginaw Valley State University in the USA, Professor Joseph Ofori-Dankwa, has lamented the lack of discipline in schools, especially at the senior high level. He attributed this partly to society shifting away from core traditional values meant to shape our upbringing due to modernization. He was speaking on GTV Breakfast.
Professor Joseph Ofori-Dankwa also said there is an easy diffusion of indiscipline now due to technology, narrowing it down to the current violence reported to have occurred at Adisadel College Boys School.
Now, the modernity has a particularly powerful ingredient, and that is the technology. The internet. These days, things go viral just like that. And so, with that type of context where technology is constantly shifting, it makes it so much more difficult to keep the traditional boundaries.
A counselor and a child development expert, Madam Oheniba Mercy Akosia Yeboah, blames the situation on how badly Ghanaians have managed the influx of foreign culture in the society.
The shifts is just the infiltration of foreign culture, which we haven't managed well. Otherwise, things are still not too much different, but it's the way we are viewing it, the way we are handling it, and it's not as if we can't manage them. If we put our minds to manage them, it's possible.
The former Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Mr. Charles Aheto Chega, disputed the fact that social media or technology is the cause of indiscipline. He stressed that discipline of students starts right from home.
It is a case of not particularly blaming it to social media, but to certain parental things that we really have to deal with within our own households that would ensure that our respective children behave in manners that are proper in terms of our whole social culture. So that is the kind of way I see it.
The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, has called for an all-hands-on-deck approach to grow Ghana's fledgling democracy. He said the country has made significant gains in her democratic dispensation in the last 30 years. and all must support to consolidate the successes chalked up so far. Mr. Bagbin made the remarks when he called on the Ogwamanhene Osaberi Makwesiata as part of activities to mark 30 years of parliamentary democracy in Ghana. 7th January 2023 marked 30 years of the inception of the Fourth Republican Parliament of Ghana after 11 years of military rule and the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution that was approved by the Ghanaian citizenry in a referendum. As part of the celebrations, the Speaker, Mr. Alban Bagbin, is undertaking a number of activities to mark 30 years of Ghana's democracy. At Cape Coast in the Central Region, where he called on the Ogwamanhene Osaberi Makwesiata, Mr. Bagbin said, though Ghana is touted as a beacon of democracy, all must assist to sustain and consolidate the country's constitutional governance. Mr. Bagbin suggested that traditional rulers and some religious leaders be part of the legislative process. He said so far, only 14% of females are represented in parliament. The Ogwamanhene Osaberi Makwesiata urged all to rally behind the government to sustain democratic governance. About a month ago, environmental health officers from the East Ayawaso Municipal Assembly destroyed over 200 kilograms of contaminated corn flour meant for Tuozafi, popularly known as TZ, dried on pavements along the Kanda Highway. This followed alerts from the Food and Drugs Authority about health hazards posed by the practice. According to one of the municipal environmental health officers, it took the office 3 different operations to compel the vendors to stop the practice. After the destruction of the contaminated flour, the traders were invited and educated on best practices to keep the flour safe for public consumption. We have on the line the MCE for Ayawaso East, Hajia Salma Adams Kuta, to find out the extent to which the directive has been complied with. Hello, good afternoon, ma.
Hello, good afternoon.
Thanks so much for joining us, Hajia.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, the drawing of TZ flour on the Kanda pavement has been there for ages, and there has been battle in fighting it. How were you able to succeed this time?
Actually, we went around, we collected everything from the street, we saved it, and then we destroyed it because it's unhygienic. We can't give it to people to consume in our market. And then we've been monitoring the place all the time, every day. Our staff, they go there for monitoring.
So what measures are in place now to ensure that they don't return again?
Actually, I can't hear you clearly, sorry.
Ajia, I am asking what measures are in place to prevent the people from coming there again, as typical of a Ghanaian.
Our environmental officers with the task force, they go there every day to monitor the place to prevent them from drying the flour again on the street.
We understand there was some form of education. Has it gone down well with them on how to dry their flour using alternative means as against drying them on the pavements?
Sure, we educate them, we sensitize them, but sometimes they don't take it and they come out to dry it, which is, of course, is not acceptable.
Okay, Hajia, before we take leave of you, any advice for people who are trying to venture again, or any advice you'd like to give to the people who have received training on what to do as against drying on the pavements?
Actually, we always saying it. We go to the community all the time to educate and sensitize them. They have to. I mean, each and everyone has to do what is right. Our attitude, it is really an issue in the municipality. So we are always educating them not to dry it on the street, because even the olden days, we don't dry Tuozafi flour on the street. They can easily put it on their roof or any other places. Sometimes they have ovens and things like that, modern techniques to dry the Tuozafi flour, but not on the street. So I'm pleading with all of them, they should at least dry it in their homes, not on the street.
Thank you very much, Hajia. We are most grateful for your time. I was speaking with Hajia Salma Adams Kuta. She is the MCE for Ayawaso East, and she is cautioning all those who dry their Tuozafi on the streets to desist from the act as it poses health threats to the public. Also on Tuesday, GBC News on its rounds was at the Kole Gono parts of Accra, which was being christened Lavender Hill. At this location, some fisher folk dry their fish on the pavement right next to the street. The concern of some people is that the fish is exposed to flies and dust, and this will end up on the market and on our dining tables. The folk here are oblivious of the health implications of this method of sun drying to completely get the water out using the sun and not any artificial heat for preservation. For most of the fish processors, ground drying the fish is better than platform drying, which they believe takes longer. But we ask, could the authorities educate these processors on safer and hygienic methods of drying the fish to prevent contamination? Leadership of the Techiman South Municipal Assembly is asking traders who were relocated to make way for the reconstruction of the Nanabina market to move back to the new ultra-modern market. The new project is under the government's Ghana Secondary Cities Support Program funded by the World Bank. The plan is to create adequate space to decongest the Techiman Central Market. Our Bono East Regional Correspondent, Samuel Ayama, has more.
The yet-to-be formally opened facility has 123 lockable stores, 75 concrete tables, visitors lorry park, offices, police and fire posts, a sick bay, daycare center, changing rooms for staff, supermarkets, butcher's shop with cold rooms, sanitation facilities, and information center. The newly built market will have fire detection equipment and fire combating systems in the event of a fire outbreak. Speaking to GBC News, the MC for Techiman South, Mr. Benjamin Yaujako, said it was through economic activities that the living conditions of the people could be improved, and therefore the need to put up such a modern facility for the traders.
We haven't fully commissioned the market, but it's a process. We have asked them to come and start operating from this edifice whilst we are putting things in place to officially outdoor this market to the entire world to see what His Excellency the President of the Republic, Nana Dankwa, has done with the credit that he has taken from our donors.
The Nifahini of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Boache Ameyao Pentemprem II, said the facility had not only brought a facelift to the municipality, but would also help reduce poverty in the area.
We are saying that you have to maintain the facility to the best way that we anticipate. Besides that, we want them also to be very careful with fire, because there has been incidents of fire outbreak in many more Ghanaian markets. So they will have to be very careful with the way they handle fire in the market.
The Nanabra market queen, Madame Rebecca Kwatima, was full of praise for government for the new facility.
Wama ayehwa eye nije bebre na ye ni ajepa because ye ko baby ni ye di dwaya ye hwese na omo se ayehwa no kreni aban wa ayade ye danase.
GBC News gathered that the contractor is expected to revisit the project and put in some finishing touches before the official handover and inauguration of the ultra-modern market. Samuel Ayama, GBC News, Techiman.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. Now, in business, the Ministry of Finance has launched 2 frameworks to check transparent fiscal discipline. We'll be back shortly. Please stay.
Focus. Every Wednesday at 9:05 a.m. live on GBC News, Unique 95.7, and all GBC regional stations, and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and a repeat on the same day at 11 p.m. on GTV. Focus, putting the issues in perspective.
Hello, Head of Basic Schools, proprietors and proprietresses. We have good news for you. Do you want to be part of the top-notch schools in Ghana? Want to exhibit your school's capabilities? Then this is the right place for you. At GLTV, we give your school an opportunity to present itself to the people. GLTV, the best in e-learning.
Welcome back. To provide a clear, transparent framework on how Ghana responds to crisis and uphold fiscal discipline, 2 emergency frameworks have been launched by the Ministry of Finance in Accra. They are the Emergency Expenditure Management Guidelines and the Audit Recommendations Implementation and Follow-up Instructions for Public Institutions.
Ghana is currently faced with a challenge to anchor an economic build-back as captured in the Post-COVID Program for Economic Growth (PCPEG) on fiscal prudence, fiscal consolidation, and a return to debt sustainability. The PCPEG envisages a cumulative fiscal adjustment of 5.1 percentage points of GDP over the program period from 2023 to 2026, with a fiscal effort of 3.8 percentage points in 2023 alone. At present, the country's primary deficit on commitment basis is also set to be reduced from 4.3% of GDP in 2022 to 0.5% in 2023. These targets are expected to be pursued by strong reforms across both domestic revenue mobilization and spending efficiency. A Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. John Kumah, said the Emergency Expenditure Management Guidelines were created in response to recent challenges, including the global pandemic that tested the resilience of the country's ability to respond effectively to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, whilst complying with the requirements of the PFM Act.
The guidelines present procedures and internal controls that will direct service delivery units on the means to assess, manage, and account for funding during an emergency with efficiency and transparency, whilst ensuring compliance with various requirements of the PFM laws. Crucially, the audit recommendations, implementation, and follow-up instructions for public institutions are anchored on government's firm commitment to ensure strict accountability transparency in management of public resources.
The Director General of the Internal Audit, Dr. Eric Odrosai, said the two frameworks, when implemented prudently, will lead to an enhancement of public financial management in Ghana.
The fiscal measures put in place is yielding results. And Deputy Minister and Chief Directors gathered here, I'm happy to report that there is a seemingly consistent and continuous reduction in the irregularities and infractions that the Auditor General normally reports in his audit report. And I think that once this document is launched, it will help us to achieve even zero irregularity level. That is where we want to get to.
It is expected that the two guidelines will create an environment where every financial decision is made with integrity and mistakes are not only identified but rectified.
The director of the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Korte, wants Parliament to enact new laws that curtails Bank of Ghana lending to government. Despite the existence of Fiscal Stability and Bank of Ghana Acts, Professor Korte is of the view that more needs to be done. He has been speaking at the ISE Mid-Year Review Forum in Accra.
Government having to fall on the central bank to finance its deficit by over 80% will be kept if we implement this strategy. The loss was mainly as the DDEP because we're told that when there was a pushback from pension fund holders, from many others, the central bank has to act quote unquote as a lender of last resort. So they suffered a major hit when it came to the debt exchange program, and that accounted for a greater proportion of the loss. Apart from government bonds, we saw Bank of Ghana stepping in with the cocoa bills at the point where he said no. There was going to be some public uproar, because Cocoa Board was not able to finance the matured bonds. And Bank of Ghana again had to step in. So sometimes all of these things are done for good reasons. When we put in laws, structures, it will help minimize. But if we allow discretion, sometimes when we are hit, the bank can not sit aloof and allow the economy to crumple. It has to step in.
Time to take a quick breather. We'll be back shortly with the international segment of this package. Please stay.
Because we have a government or governments, citizens must have access to information that the government is putting out, information that public institutions are putting out for the benefit of the citizens, information that are useful for citizens to live their lives with, information that pertains to all manner of things concerning the development of the communities and of the citizens.
It is of our broader vision to fund GBC optimally to compete as if its life and its survival were based on that competition and the success of that competition. Now, BBC gets some subventions. Voice of America does. Australia National Television and Radio. Norwegian Radio. Danish Television. So the idea of state subvention or citizens paying aspect of their taxes to ensure that GBC survives competes. It's not an aberration at all.
There are communities around our borders, towards Cote d'Ivoire, towards Burkina Faso, towards Togo, and so on, where the citizens, the information they get is only from the surrounding countries and in French or in the local languages around where perhaps the citizens in the Ghanaian side also have access to. Even advertising, commercial advertising. When people want to do funeral announcements, they go across the border for the radio stations there to do the funeral announcements for them. When they have something to sell, some service to provide, they sell the advertising to those radio stations across the border. You see, so, and in this era of terrorism, of security, this is not right at all. So, whichever way you look at it, a government must be interested in every community, every citizen having access to information that is of public use and public interest.
Betrayed by the one person that I love and that I thought was a true friend.
My mother once told me that people who create their own drama deserve their own karma.
You're better than this, Chester. Of course I am better than this. I am better than her. I'm better than anything she stands for. I am better than her. Tornadoes just happen. Earthquakes just happen. Penises don't just happen to fall into vaginas. To hell with you. You're all the same. You and your brother, all of you are the same. It looks like I'm looking at the wrong person. You think she loves me?
Yeah, she does.
How is that possible? She's evil.
Don't you dare call my girlfriend evil.
Let's see how the two of you are going to be together.
Life is like a game of chess. Some of us are pawns, others queens.
Bloodlines. Showing every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 10 p.m. only on GTV.
Drivers on and back when I say, oh, who's a zebra crossing here? I say, the professor became a zebra crossing. Gina, also make it a car scene. Sign out with you.
Liabgum Simula Ben Shadan Pierna Kamale, Carmel Bukata, Namana Zaman Nutambo, Zanjanda Liabgum Simple, now on this so.
I will not go back and be a Yawa. That of fear market, or for be a baway, me away, how we and women are not good about women. Vitamin A women are not having Sunny and Halley.
Jujobarudo Cocodi Yakatoy, and Yaiba and Naohana Monachishipo, Yiha Chidodovania. Watan Atrangao Azunubu way.
Stay tuned to Adult Education every Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. on GTV.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in 2016 pledged to ensure free senior high school education for every Ghanaian child through the effort of government and the Ministry of Education. The first year enrollment has risen from 308,000 in 2016 to over 500,000 students being enrolled each year under the policy, making over 1.6 million children enrolled under the policy as at 2022. The Transformation Agenda series on education exposes you to the varied and various achievements of government in the area of education, delving into the policies, interventions, achievements, and infrastructural development that has occurred under the leadership of the President. Be my guest this and every Sunday between 8 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. as we bring you documentaries across the 16 regions of Ghana on GTV. Transformation Agenda.
Welcome back. From the 15th of August 2023, all stakers in sports betting and lotteries who win are required to pay 10% withholding tax on their gross win. At a media forum in Accra, the Commissioner of the Domestic Tax Revenue Division of the GRA, Mr. Edward Jambra, called for compliance, especially on the path of the betting and lottery companies from next week when the law kicks in.
In the 2023 budget, government proposed a tax on the gross gaming revenue that will replace the corporate income tax and VAT. According to the GRA, the nature of the gaming and betting transactions makes it difficult to implement VAT in its current form. To this end, the GRA has instructed all gaming companies and lotto companies to withhold 10% of winnings as taxes to the state.
For this, we expect each and every one to comply. Those in the sport betting, those that are private lotto operators, those in casino operators, routers operators, remote interactive game operators, operators of marketing promotion, operators of other games of chance. If anyone wins, come first 15th of August, we expect that when you are making the payments, you would hold 10% and pay same to the Ghana Revenue.
The Commissioner of the Domestic Tax Revenue Division at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Edward Jambra, mentioned that all companies that fail to comply will be sanctioned.
As you have been appointed as a withholding agent, the obligation is on you to withhold. And if you fail to do that, with the interaction that we've had with you and the support of the Gaming Commission, you can be assured that your license will be withdrawn. You can't stay in a country without complying with the tax laws. We need the revenue, we need the taxes to develop the country.
According to the Ghana Revenue Authority, it has instituted measures to ensure full compliance to these directives.
Residents in the two biggest cities in Ethiopia's Amhara region, the state's capital Bahir Dar and the historic Gondar, said intense fighting between local militia and government troops has continued on Tuesday as violence showed no sign of abating. The clashes include the firing of heavy weaponry, raising concerns over the safety of civilians. Fighting has also continued in the industrial city of Dabrimbrahan, 130 kilometers north of the country's capital, Addis Ababa, where residents reported seeing drones hovering. The head of the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who is an Ethiopian, has expressed concerns over the ongoing violence. Niger Junta leader General Abdurrahmani Tchiani has named a former finance minister as the new prime minister following the 26th July coup. Ali Mahama Lamin Ziani replaces Mahamudu Uhumudu, who was in Europe during the coup. Mr. Ziani, reported to be in his 50s, served as cabinet director and finance minister from 2001 until the overthrow of the late former president Mahamudu Tanja by the army in 2010. His appointment was announced in a statement read on state-owned television channel Tele Sahel on Monday night by a junta spokesperson. Mr. Ziani has worked for the African Development Bank in Chad, Ivory Coast, and Gabon in recent years. The remains of 5 government workers who were kidnapped in Cameroon's Restif southwest region in 2021 have been exhumed in a remote village after a former separatist fighter who recently surrendered to authorities revealed that they had been killed and buried. He then led security forces to the burial site where their bones were exhumed. For several hours, security forces combed a forest in the administrative unit of Nyant and found the grave where the officials were buried. It was difficult to identify them individually as their bodies had already decomposed. At least 2 people were killed, hundreds of thousands of premises were left without power, and thousands of flights were cancelled or delayed after an intense storm lashed much of the eastern United States. In Alabama, a 28-year-old man died after being struck by lightning in an industrial park. And in South Carolina, a 15-year-old was killed when he was hit by a falling tree outside his grandparents' house, according to a local CBS station. Millions of people were under severe weather alerts, including tornado watches, as rain, strong winds, and hail swept east along nearly the entire eastern seaboard from Alabama to New York. Sports comes up shortly. Tuesday.
It is a nightmare dealing with the filth in Accra. The gutters are choked with garbage. The streets are a jumble of filth. The beauty of the serene beaches is marred with human feces and plastics, as many defecate in the open. Residents are up in arms when the situation gets out of hand.
Because of these meetings, you can't even stand there for even a minute. As we speak here, if the mosquitoes even refuse to breathe on it.
Partners in sanitation suggest alternative policy interventions.
Landfilling is not the way forward. We are recommending treatment facilities.
But in all of this, have we made gains in the sector?
How can you have a people who have a lot of dignity and still practicing identification?
The task facing Ghana to achieve SDG Goal 6 on clean water and sanitation for all is Herculean and riddled with equally complicated hurdles. Join us every Thursday on Wash Hour from 4:05 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we seek to put these issues and more in perspective. Watch a repeat on Fridays from 1 to 2 p.m. and on Sundays 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. It is our duty to keep our surroundings clean and free from disease.
Focus. Every Wednesday at 9:05 a.m. live on GBC News, Unique 95.7, and all GBC regional stations, and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and a repeat on the same day at 11 p.m. on GTV. Focus, putting the issues in perspective.
Hello, good afternoon. Let's talk sports. I am Theophilus Sampa to football. Straight to Kumasi because Ghanaian Premier League side Kumasi Asante Kotoko have unveiled Mr. Prosper Natogun as their new head coach for the upcoming 2023-2024 Ghana Premier League season. This unveiling was held at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Let's bring you some sight and sounds.
Head coach makes a return to the club after stepping down before the start of the 2022-2023 season following a successful first term with the club. Ogum won the league title with the Porcupine Warriors in his only season at the club during the 2021-2022 season, but disagreements with the club's board over certain decisions led to him resigning from his role. Prosper Ogum says his aim is to put together a very formidable team that can compete both domestically and internationally as he takes over the club as head coach.
But then what this time around the approach is going to be is the first year is going to be used to put the team together. We need to put together a very formidable team, a very respectable team that can compete on the local and international front.
David Oklu is expected to be his assistant at the club following his departure from Hatsobok at the end of the 2022-2023 season.
But he goes past Patau again. Mensah, what a brilliant goal!
Here in Accra, Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, Legon Presec, the Odadies have won this year's Uber Invitational Games. They did it in Grand Style by beating five-time winners Accra by 2-0 in the final. They joined the three other schools, that's Leo, Butri, and Adisco, as the only schools to have won the enviable competition since its inception 10 years ago. The 2023 Uber Invitational Games took place at Legon Presec Park. This year's edition marked the 10th anniversary of the Games and the 20th anniversary for the students since they completed their schools. 8 schools participated. They were housed in 2 groups, A and B. Group A had Prempeh College, Amanfour, St. Augustine's College, Adesadel College, Adisco, and Accra Academy Senior High School, Accra. Group B featured Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Presec, St. Peter's Boys Senior High School, Pesco, Infantipim Old Boys Association, Wuba, and Pope Jones Senior High School, Pojoba. The round-robin event was action-packed. Despite its being competitive in nature, the day also served as an occasion to unite and relive the good old days whilst networking and socializing. Being the host school, the Odadies were looking to do a host and win and join the exclusive club of winners of the competition, which has Accra as 5-time winners, Butri and Adisco as 2-time winners each. The Tape Show. They navigated through their Group B, which had some good teams. After topping the group, Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Presec, clashed with 2-time winners, Adisco, in the semi-final match. They dig deep to beat them by 2-0 to progress to the finals. Accra Academy Senior High School progressed to the final. The clash was keen. Odadies were a delight to watch. They beat them by 2-0 to carry the day. We caught up with some of the players.
We started to sort of have fellowship and then network and sort of push ourselves. And I think largely we are achieving that.
Football is the most ubiquitous sport in Ghana. And it's something that I think we found that majority of us shared a passion for. So it was something that we could all easily gravitate towards and use as the main focus point to build this network we are trying to build.
We didn't mind not being the favorites, but we knew our team was cohesive, we knew our team was strong, and we knew we were mentally ready for it. So we didn't want the fans. We wanted the trophies before the accolades. And that's what we have done today. Thank you very much.
The win means Presec have joined Accra, Butri, and Adisco as winners of the competition, which is 10 years old. Liverpool concluded their pre-season schedule with a 3-1 win over German Bundesliga newcomers SV Darmstadt 98.
Dominic Szoboszlai with the corner. It's Luis Diaz who flicks, and it's Mohamed.
In the spirit of communal labor that residents of East Kwabenya in Accra raised funds to complete construction works on a stored police station. For residents, a police station will increase police visibility in the community and help address the numerous security challenges there.
In 2018, a gang of suspected robbers attacked the Kwabenya police station, killed one police officer, and freed 7 cell inmates. This incident and many others in the municipality remains a worry to residents. For 13 years, police personnel deployed to maintain law and order at East Kwabenya worked from a container police post, but the deterioration of the container led to its closure in 2007 and subsequent withdrawal of personnel. Since then, residents relied on the Ashoman police station. In 2022, the sod was cut for the construction of a modern police station with seed money of 50,000 Ghana cedis from the East Municipal Assembly. The project, which is 40% complete, has stalled for some time due to inadequate funds. Members of the East Kwabenya Residents Association have mobilized funds from levies, contributions and donations for construction work to continue. At a fundraising by the association, its vice president, Mr. Chris Bachman, said they expect to raise 200,000 cedis to complete the project in the next 6 months.
As I speak, we have gotten to about 40% completion, but it's sad to note that the process has come to a standstill, all because of lack of funds. So the occasion today is to raise funds so that we can complete and commission the new and modern police post.
A Deputy Minister for Education, Mr. John Ntim Fodjo, commended the residents for their communal efforts. He admitted that government cannot solely provide all infrastructural needs of every community. He therefore encouraged other communities to emulate the example of the East Kwabenya residents.
The project, when completed, will be a solution to security, not only for you and not only for the households that are gathered here, not only for the households that will contribute, but for everybody who's a resident here. All of us are going to have a safer place to dwell. What you're about to do is noble. What you have been doing is noble, and what you're going to continue to do is noble, and the Lord shall bless you.
The 350,000 cedis modern police station will have a charge office, interview room, as well as other offices, both male and female cells, armory, lobby, and a parking space, as well as a landscaping area.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, in collaboration with the Offenso Municipal Assembly in Ashanti and Zoom Lion, have begun evacuating a refuse dam at Kaira, a farming community near Offenso in the Offenso South Municipality of Ashanti. The dam site has, for the past 32 years, contributed to intermittent cholera outbreak in the community.
Evacuation of the Kaira refuse dump was a relief to residents after several requests to the Offenso Municipal Assembly for support. The people say the heap was a health threat to them. The site is also close to the Kaira Basic and Junior High School, where the pupils most often report of cholera, leading to occasional hospitalization. 4 similar sites are awaiting evacuation after approval from the authorities. The Odikro of Kaira, Ohineba Riafi Kakari, and his queen mother, Nanasewa Riafi, thanked government for the initiative. The Offenso South Municipal Chief Executive, Mr. Kingsley Usuapia, said refuse containers will be placed at the site and the people would have to pay a token for regular evacuation.
This community made us aware that all that they want from us is that they want us to evacuate this refuse dump for them. And today we are starting to evacuate this refuse dump.
The assemblyman for Kaira, Mr. Samuel Otin, asked residents to cooperate with the assembly to avoid accumulation of the refuse.
Yetu anamubebre afa yebola kesia wahayiso. Ai nenyame adom wanabo MC awaha ɔne ne dɔm ne Zoom Lion Company ɛne Ghana aban ba bɛdom ya na me ne me mpanimfoɔ nananom ɛne me manfoɔ electoral area ha nyinaa aseda kɛseɛ ɛne yɛde ma MC ɛne Zoom Lion ɛne Ghana aban.
Let's do some art and entertainment news. My name is Hagar Owusu. A court injunction on the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musica's national and regional elections, scheduled for today, 8th August 2023, is on hold. Musica in a statement announced the postponement of the election scheduled to be supervised by the Electoral Commission. However, the exercise on hold pending the final determination of the case by the court. Plaintiffs in the legal action are Mr. Do Seyinam Nyamadi and Mr. Frederick Van Dyke, both members of Musica. Earlier, I spoke to Mr. Ras Caleb Apia Levi, one of the aspiring Musica presidents, and Mr. Fred Van Dyke, a plaintiff in the case. You started it because in 2019, you placed an injunction on it. 19. And courts ordered for out-of-court settlement. So now, do you think this is a right move? Because the thing was supposed to take place today. Now, nothing has happened. With the cost, time, and do you think the general public or sponsors will take Musica serious with these court issues?
Court issues are meant to cleanse issues. I am not involved in this injunction.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There are people who are involved in that. Because if I am involved in it, my sister, I will never travel to this 9 regions and top it up with yesterday with a press conference that came with a post to make a I'm not somebody who will make a mockery of myself. While they are seeking for relief, I made it known in my second court appearance in 2020, and the court ruled that, yes, we should go for elections. After the elections, that we come to this subject matter. And I agreed to it. I never went back to court. I'm not that deeply into this. And right now, the issue has come to court.
Okay.
So whether it's needless or not, it's already in the court. So it is they who can give the judgment.
You and your colleague have sent Musica to court. What is the problem?
The problem is that the current Musica leadership, their term of office has expired. But for 4 years, they are hanging on to power. And they want to conduct elections and hand over to a new executive. But the old executive or boss executive, they have not accounted to the union for the work that they did. They haven't done that. We have to go to Congress first. We wrote to the arbitration committee of the union after the constitution. Before you take anything outside, you must try and resolve it within. They could have resolved it.
Actor politician Mr. Fred Nwama has formally written to the National Democratic Congress, NDC, to withdraw from the parliamentary race for Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. He said he will support his colleague, actor John Dumelo. Fred and John, despite being colleagues in the movie industry, had engaged in a heated political battle when John accused his colleague Fred Nwama of backstabbing him with a decision to contest him for the seat on the ticket of the NDC.
That's all in this packet. Thanks so much for your time. Good afternoon.